So we've lived in San Diego for about 6 years now, and we kind of did the reverse migration. We started in Carlsbad and then moved to Encinitas. And then for the last 4 years, we've lived in Pacific Beach, and we were living in a small 450 square foot little beach cottage, and it was great. We loved it, but we kind of outgrew it. We were ready for a change. We had some pretty horrendous neighbors living in very close quarters, and it just got to the point where we were looking for an upgrade. And we weren't really sure. When we first started looking, we kind of just were, we weren't super serious about it. We're kind of just, we're really good friends with Melissa and John, and it was super fun just like looking at houses with them and taking afternoons just look at properties. And we kind of just stumbled upon this place, and it just clicked like really, really fast.
Melissa actually said as we were walking into the house and she was coming down the street, she was like, guys, I don't want to jump the gun, but let me just say, I think this might be it. And we were like, all right, let's see. And then we walked in, and 2 hours later we were putting in an offer, so yeah.
Yeah, but it's been great. I don't think we expected to be here this quickly, but it's...
Well, no, and Melissa and John will tell you that this was literally the fastest close that has ever happened. I think we closed in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And we were gone to Vermont
13
for
days.
like 12 of the 14 days or something. Yeah.
I think the best part about this whole situation was that Melissa and John pretty much handled everything while we were 4,000 miles away.
Literally everything. We weren't here for any inspection, no walkthrough, nothing. They took care of everything.
Yeah, we saw the property the day before we were leaving for Vermont for Christmas, and put in an offer, and then promptly got on a plane and left. And when we got back on January 2nd, we closed and got the keys. So it was easy. It was great.
But yeah, I mean, it was great. It was easy working with them, super easy. Like, they were very casual, very chill, like, weren't pushy, which was great. I hate when people are pushy, because then you feel awkward and you don't know how to, like, so yeah, it was super easy, and I feel like it felt like we were their only client,
Yeah, it was honestly, I mean, we didn't look around for realtors. I mean, but it was an easy decision, I mean, I think that just watching how Melissa and John have built their business over the past year, and just all the hard work they put into it, it was a no-brainer for us. So, and it was nice not to have to call, any of those sleazy guys on the bus bench ads. Just the process in general, like, I mean, buying a house in general is a inherently stressful process, right? And not being here was difficult, but it was really nice to know that we had people who were advocating on our behalf, right? And it was, like, the communication was just always, it was so fast. Like, the close, I think, happened in 13 or 14 days. So we were constantly going back and forth between the bank, escrow, the other realtor, Melissa and John, but they handled pretty much all communication and all inspections on our behalf. So it was what could have been an excruciating process was actually a lot easier. And while it was difficult, it could have been a lot more difficult.
I would say too, one really good thing was, like, because we weren't here to hear what they said with the inspections or whatever it was, and when we were like antsy, they were totally fine. Like, it wasn't like they were like, okay, geez, Ben and Jess just called us 20 minutes ago and now they're calling again. Like, they were like, what's going on? What's up? Oh, absolutely. Like, let's email you. I'm going to email you that stuff right now, where we just finished the inspection. We'll email you the documents as soon as we have them. Like, they weren't annoyed by us being antsy and, like, feeling like we were out of the process and wanting to be as involved as we could be, even though we were away. And that was really nice too.
For me, it was the strategic aspect. I think when you're dealing with such a large purchase,
And the first time ever.
Yeah, the first time ever. Like, there's so many nuances, especially to negotiations and going back and forth with sellers and making sure that, you're, crossing your T's and dotting your I's, because, not doing that could result in tens of thousands of dollars, right? So being able to talk to them regularly and strategize on, how we wanted to communicate with the other realtors and what we wanted to push on and not push on and acquiesce on was really, really helpful, because, there's so many little things. So having somebody that was able to guide us through that process and give us strategic advice was really, really helpful.
When we came to look at this house, I think, because literally it was like maybe 9:30 a.m. on it was like a Friday, because I think you were working from home that day or something. And we saw this place and we just texted them and we're like, hey, we're checking out this place. Like, could we maybe check it out later today or tomorrow? And they were like, yeah, we can be there in 45 minutes. And we were like,
It's quick.
Great, so can we? Like, let's do it. I think that was maybe one of those moments where it was like, wow, like, hell yeah, like, great. This is fantastic. And then within 2 hours of that, like, we were looking at another condo and John was on the phone with the other real estate agent, like, just getting basic details, just like get a vibe for what the situation was. And then they went home, wrote the offer, and we put it in. So it was like, I think their speed was continually impressive to us. And nice, because we're really impatient people and we don't like waiting for things. So I feel like if it didn't go this fast, we would have been like super antsy and anxious the whole time. So it actually worked out really nicely for us.
I think real estate is an industry that I don't think has gone through disruption yet. There are a lot of real estate agents that still operate just using antiquated technology. They're not using new media. They're not. I don't think they're using all the tools at their disposal. And I think one thing that John and Melissa really excel at is making sure that they're up to date on all of the new and cool things that can help them do their jobs better. And really, there's also I really just think that the communication was the most important thing for me. It is so unbelievably frustrating when you're excited about something and the people you're working with don't match your excitement, because you're just like, well, come on, like, this is really important. And in a really competitive market, oftentimes hours matter, minutes matter. And having somebody having a team who is really like there with you the whole time, like, that is the most important thing, especially if you're going through it for the first time, right? Because there's just so much that you don't know. And I think that they just did a great job walking us through everything and not making us feel stupid, right? Like, there was no stupid question, which is great.
I feel like how smart they are makes me really trust them. So like, I really think Melissa and John like take this very seriously and are always looking for ways to improve upon what they can offer and what they do and what they know. And that makes me trust them more. And with a purchase so large, you want to be working with someone that you trust. And even if they weren't two of our best friends in San Diego, I think I would still feel that way, because it's just clear, I felt like when we would see a house, I'd be like, let's make sure, like, one time we happened to look at a house without them. And I was like, let's make sure Melissa and John see this, because I know they're going to know, like, what's going on with this house. And like, I don't know what I'm looking at. And I know they're going to walk in and immediately know, like, oh, well, look at this and look at that. And it just puts you at ease with something that could be, like, really stressful or really scary. I felt like I totally trust what they tell me, 100%.
Honestly, just because I think what they lack in maybe years of experience, they make up in enthusiasm. Seriously, I mean, it doesn't matter if a realtor has been in the industry for 20 years, if they're still doing they're still operating the same way they did 20 years ago. There needs to be a constant evolution, especially in such a hyper-competitive market. And I think that I don't think that that should even be a factor. You know, it should be
Definitely not.
should just be
No.
based on success alone.
Yeah.
Right?
I would say so, but people with the business probably don't think that way. So. I've already told people about how I feel like they are very, very smart. That I feel like that makes the process easier, and how quick they are, honestly. I feel like that really makes a difference. Weren't waiting around days for responses on emails or even text messages. If something came up, they called right away. So I think their intelligence, what they bring to the table with how much they know and how much they continue to learn, and their speed was huge for me.
I think for me, it's just knowing that they have our best interests at heart. You know, it's really easy to, I think for real estate agents in general to take, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say take advantage of people, but to just like churn and burn, you know, like just like look at a client as a client and not as a relationship. And knowing that the people who are advocating for you have your best interests at heart is really important, because you know that they're not steering you for a monetary gain on their end. You know, you always have to wonder, especially when so much money is on the line, like, are they telling me this because I want to hear it and because it's going to move this sale along faster and get their, you know, so they can get their commission faster? But ultimately, like, we never felt like that. You know, we always felt like we were firmly in the driver's seat, and there was never any pressure, and it was always a dialogue rather than a sales pitch, right?
I feel like it's like working with a mechanic. No one likes working with a mechanic. You always are wondering if you're getting undercut, if they're charging you more than they should be charging you, whatever. And so you always want to have like a good mechanic. And I feel like that's how it is kind of with real estate too. At least that's how I look at it. It's like, I like knowing that, like you said, like they have your best interests at heart, because that's not always the case.
I'd recommend Melissa and John just because they always kept our best interests at heart.